and welcome into the final regular season episode of the OUA Basketball Show, folks. My name is Griffin Porter. Thanks so much for tuning in. And just because it's the final regular season episode does not mean it's the final time that I'm going to tell you guys about BioSteel. Did you know that BioSteel is redefining sports hydration? And as the official hydration partner of the OUA, they're supporting the next generation of Canadian athletes. Their zero sugar, high quality products help athletes perform at their best. Check out biosteel.ca/OUA for more info. And I'm going to be honest, you guys probably did already know that, but I'm not going to stop telling you. It's hard to believe that we are 1 week away from the playoffs, really just a few days away from the playoffs by the time you're watching this. And it's even harder to believe that things are about to get more exciting. But we still have some crucial things to sort out before we can get to that playoffs, like, for example, who's going to be playing in them, who they're going to be playing against. So let's get right into it. In case you aren't aware, the OUA playoff format goes like this. 12 teams in the OUA make the playoffs. The top 4 seeds all get byes. Those top 4 seeds are determined by the 3 division winners and then the next best record. So if you win your division, you'll get a first round bye, but you might not get a top 3 seed. You could be 4th if one of the other teams that didn't win their division still has a better record than one of those division winners. The other 8 teams that make the playoffs are ranked by winning percentage, regardless of division, and that's how we get to our 12 teams that then go forth in a standard single elimination bracket. So with that in mind, let's start on the men's side. Right now, we have 8 teams that are solidly over 500. Ottawa, Carleton, Queens, Lakehead, Brock, TMU, Western, and Windsor. Those 8 teams should all be solidly in playoff spots. Ottawa and Lakehead have both locked up their division crown as well. Now, we've got those 8, 4 spots left. If you can do the math at home, 12 minus 8. Things get a little tricky from there. Laurentian has the 9th best record at a record of 10-11. They should be heading to the dance as well, which leaves us with 3 spots heading into the final weekend. Our next best team in the standings is Ontario Tech at 9-11, but they've got Carleton and Ottawa as their final 2 opponents. Carleton and Ottawa both have stuff still to play for, seeding to play for. By the way, Ottawa beat Carleton in the men's and Carleton beat Ottawa in the women's at Capital Hoops, in case you didn't know that. Coincidence? The 2 guests I had on both on the winning side. I don't think that's a coincidence, but you tell me. A tough slate for the Ridgebacks, however, as they have to play Ottawa and Carleton as they fight for one of those last playoff spots. Nipping at their heels are the Laurier Golden Hawks and the Waterloo Warriors, both of whom sit at 8-12. Now, they both play Western and Windsor, just flip-flop this weekend, and could both pick up some massive ground if they manage to win some of those games. I reread about 13 pages of OUA tie-breaking procedures for this weekend. I believe U of T can technically still qualify as well if everything goes exactly right for them, but they would need to beat both Brock and McMaster and see everyone else they're fighting with lose every single game they have remaining. So lots needs to go the Blues' way if they want to crack the bracket on the men's side. Meanwhile, according to my math, Windsor can still technically take the West Division from the Mustangs if the Lancers go 2-0 and Western goes 0-2. And Guelph has 2 games in a row that they have won to stay mathematically alive, but they'll have to take on an Algoma squad this weekend. And Algoma, is looking to avoid a winless season, so they're going to be coming out hot and ready to compete. Tough test for Guelph. There's going to be a ton of math to do once the dust settles this weekend. We're going to have a ton of teams fighting for those last 3 spots, and I'm glad I don't have to do any of that math. And that is just for the men's side. On the women's side, same playoff format as the men. This time we have 10 of our playoff teams already spoken for. We'll count them. Carleton, Ottawa, Queens, Windsor, Guelph, Western, Waterloo, TMU, Brock, and McMaster. They are all at 500 or above, and by my math, they should be in for the playoffs, although obviously still some seeding left to fight for this weekend. If the Bold lose to McMaster on Saturday, division crown is in play, because if the Badgers win both of their games against York and Toronto, that division crown is going to Brock instead of TMU, and the 4th of the first round byes on the women's side will be going to Ottawa as the next best of the non-divisional winners. They did not win their division. Carleton did, but Ottawa is going to have a better record than Brock or TMU either way. So TMU and Brock, you either win the division and get the first round bye, or you don't win your division and you're into having to play a winner go home first round playoff game. So huge stakes this weekend for Brock and for TMU. We went through our 10 playoff teams. Laurier should have our 11th playoff spot locked up, even if they lose both of their remaining games, which leaves us one spot left for the York Lions and the Laurentian Voyageurs to fight over. If both of those teams win or both of those teams lose, Laurentian gets the spot on the tiebreaker. They beat York back in November. But if York beats Brock and Laurentian loses to Lakehead, then it's the Lions who get our final playoff spot. It's a massive weekend all across Ontario. Hope you're all hanging on to all that information I just threw on you. And here to talk about it is someone who's going to be one of the key players in all of the madness. And we've got a big guest today, an OUA second team All-Star last year, one of the top 5 scorers in the province, one of the top 5 scorers in the country right now, Kiara Leveridge of the York Lions. Kiara, thanks so much for coming on the OUA Basketball Show.
No, of course, Griffin. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to see what we do today.
Yeah, well, trust me, it's going to be exciting. It's lots of talking, and you get to answer lots of questions. So I can't imagine what's more exciting than that. I want to start out with something that I hope you will know. I mean, as a compliment, I think you are one of the most under discussed players in all of the OUA for how talented and incredible you are on the court and the things that you have accomplished in your career. I know you play in a big city with a lot of other schools. It's always tough to compete for attention and stuff like that. But I was wondering if we could just start sort of for guests and for viewers who haven't been able to watch York yet this season, tell them a bit about how Kiara Leveridge plays and in your opinion, what you do so well.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is my 4th year now with York University. I would say like an oversized guard. I could play like a lot of positions. This past season, I actually have been playing the 1 more often as my role. So I've been able to play like 1 through 4 this past season. So I would say I'm a very versatile. I'm very gritty. I have a lot of hustle. Like I always want the ball defensively, offensively. I like to share with my teammates. I like to rebound. And honestly, I think just like I have a lot of overall like love and passion for basketball, and I think that's what drives me to play like so aggressively, as you said. I would say,
yeah. Well, I get a chance to watch a fair share of York basketball. I'm up at York University often, and I think that's a great assessment. You know, you really seem to know your game well, and it's that love for basketball that I think really shines through. You guys, as a team, have shown some really great improvement over last year. The win count already higher. You're fighting for a playoff spot, going right down to the last game of the season here. If you had to look back as we're at, it's hard to believe the end of the season already. From a team perspective, how would you evaluate this year for York?
Yeah, I think you hit it very correctly. We did do and have a lot of growth this year. Last year we didn't lose any seniors, but we did have a few incoming people coming. So this year was very much like a building year. And so like in September, October, November, we were very focused on like trying to figure out how to play with each other and like figure out each other's playing styles. And I think now coming towards the end of the season, like we've continued to play well together and like build that chemistry and really just be able to play defensively together and just move as a unit, which I think has been very important and very useful for us. So just moving forward, we're continuing to build that chemistry and just knowing how to play well with each other and like certain plays and certain like advantages that we have as a team against other teams that we face, I would say.
Yeah, great answer. Speaking of the end of the season, and you guys have a big game coming up against Brock on Saturday. Win to keep your playoff chances alive. Need a little bit of out-of-town help, but still everything that you can control, you can control. How are you preparing for that? You mentioned you just got out of practice. Is it anything different for going into the biggest game of the year this weekend?
Yeah, not necessarily anything different. I think just more of an emphasis on us staying focused and like realizing like what we want to do and what our game plan is, because like a lot of teams, we do have a game plan, and it's just making sure that we stick to that while we're in the moment and playing Brock, regardless of like the highs or lows that we may be facing while playing them. Just making sure that we go back to those basics and our baselines of like what we want to do to be able to compete with a team like Brock. And obviously they have a better record with us. They beat us the first time we played them, so we're just looking to find our advantages and then exploit them to hopefully get this win and then hopefully secure a spot in playoffs as well. So nothing different. I would just say more of an emphasis on focus and just making sure that we do what we have to do to play at our best tomorrow.
You guys are coached, of course, by the great Krista Eniajukin. She was a great player in her day. What's it like being coached by a former player who has been in these games like that before? How's she able to help sort of from like the mental side? Does she put an emphasis on that at all?
Yeah, we have a mental performance coach. Her name is Naomi, and we work very closely with her to make sure that like we're building our mental strategies and like our mental toughness, and making sure that like we have outlets and supports that we could go to like just outside of basketball, because obviously it's not just about what happens on the court, like you said, like things that happen mentally and stuff like that. So Krista's been really good at making sure that we're bridging that gap between not just us as players, but making sure that we have people and supports that we can go to, just because she understands, like you said, as a former player, like the demands and everything that goes into being a student athlete. So that's been very beneficial, like throughout my 4 years here, I'd say.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Those off the court resources are there. I did have one more question about Coach Eniajuken. I saw that the team's Instagram page had a great bit of content a couple weeks ago where they asked if you guys could take her one on one.
Oh, yeah.
This was a while ago, I think, at this point. But I've been wanting to ask about this. We all know she's a great player. What would I believe you said yes, if I remember the video correctly? I believe you said you thought you could. So what's the plan of attack there? I got to know what's the strategy if you had to play Coach Eniajuken one on one. How are you attacking her?
Yeah, honestly, no offense, coach. I wouldn't need a strategy. I would just gonna take the ball and drive it to the rim and like overpower her. To be honest, that's what I'm gonna do. No
Oh
plan
my
for me.
god.
No strategy.
Fighting words.
Yeah.
Fighting words. I think we got to stream this somewhere. I think I because she's crafty, you know. She was a great player. Um all right, getting it back to the serious stuff here because that's what we do. OUA Basketball Show. We keep it serious. You have had another phenomenal season. Congratulations. The rebounding better than ever. The scoring has remained incredible. Like you said, you've been playing more of the point guard and playing a more ball dominant role. If you had to look back on your own 2024-2025 season, what's sort of the headline to you? What are you taking away from this year?
I would say continuing to compete through adversity and like overcoming challenges. Obviously, like we started off the season with 2 wins, but then from then we went on like a bit of a losing streak and trying to get like certain wins when we could. So I would say like my thing this season has just trying to keep my team focused and keep my team like motivated as well as myself, and like keep us like our vision set on our goal of like wanting to compete regardless of like the ups and the downs that we go through. So I would just say like staying positive and continue to compete and show up like regardless of like what our record's looking like or like how we're feeling, just making sure that we show up when we can, because honestly we've been very big on like gratefulness and gratitude. And so just recognizing that okay, maybe the season's not going as well as we want, but we're still grateful to be here and we're still grateful for the opportunity to play in the OUA and play this last game. So I would say yeah, continuing to compete through challenges and adversity.
That's great to hear. That's what sports are all about, I think, if you really boil it down to it. So I'm glad to hear that. Just a couple more for you before I let you go, because like we said, big game tomorrow. I'm sure you gotta go to bed soon, you know. Sleep's important. But everyone talks about the scoring. We see you on all the graphics of all the scoring leaders and stuff like that. But I love watching you rebound. I feel like across all of basketball, no one ever pays enough attention to the rebounding, you know.
Yeah.
But it's clearly an important part of your game. When you guys pulled off that big upset against TMU a couple weeks ago, you had a phenomenal rebounding game. 21 rebounds, a huge part of that win. Tell me a bit about the art of rebounding and what that is like to you and how important that is to you.
Okay. I think rebounding, honestly, for me, like it's always been important. Like you said, a lot of people don't focus on it, but it's like it's you controlling the possession or you like ending a possession and getting your ball or getting your team the ball back, which has been really important. When I was younger, like I used to be taller than everyone, so like the rebounds would like be coming easy to me. But like as I've gotten older and other people have been getting like taller than me, like I've had to work that much more to get rebounds. And so I think like towards the end of the season, I put more of an emphasis on like making sure that I go and grab as many boards as possible, just so that I could help my team gain as many successful possessions as possible, and also stop other teams from getting second and third chance opportunities, because we realized that that was like a place where like a lot of teams are scoring on us with them getting their offensive boards. So just making sure that I put myself in the position to box out and hopefully get the ball in my hands so we can run the other way, I'd say.
You speaking about the height reminds me of just one of the best memories I have of watching you play. It was a missed free throw last season,
Okay.
and you were crashing the boards, and you pulled off this great move. I still don't know how exactly you did it, but you basically went underneath the girl boxing you out and grabbed the rebound, went up and got the and one. It was incredible, and I love watching the good rebounding. You're a great rebounder. So,
Thank you.
Kiara, good luck tomorrow. It's going to be a great game,
Yes.
lots on the line, and Kiara Leveridge is on the floor. So, bet against her at your own risk. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Griffin. This is a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Okay, good. A lot of fun. Good.
Yes. Yes.
That is going to do it for this week's episode of the OUA Basketball Show. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully your head wasn't spinning from all of that playoff talk and you were still able to enjoy that chat with the great Kiara Leveridge. I know I enjoyed getting to talk to the great Kiara Leveridge, one of the best in the whole province. That was a lot of fun for me to get to interview her. Every single game is the game to watch this weekend. The OUA said that I could not do that. They said, Griffin, that's too many games to make the game to watch this weekend. It's too radical. But I said, that's how important every single game is. Almost every team needs a win one way or another. So that's my assignment to you. Watch your school's games this weekend. Watch your team and your favorite players, because everyone could use a win for seeding or to sneak into one of those last few playoff spots, or even just to end the season on a high note. Because even if your team isn't going to make the playoffs this year, it's your last chance to watch these great student athletes compete for your school for this season, to wear those colors with pride. So make sure you take advantage of the chance to get to do that, because you'll be missing it before you know it. Thank you all so much for tuning in for what's been an incredible regular season. I can't wait to talk playoffs with you guys next week. Hopefully we'll have some great guests on for the playoffs. If you're a multi-year viewer of the show, you know we really like to dig in deep to our playoff matchups, try and break down who we think is going to win and why. So I'm really looking forward to doing those longer playoff episodes once again. Thanks again for watching, guys. My name is Griffin Porter. Good luck this weekend to your school, and we'll see you next week.